Week 5. It is here, and of course, we're betting it. This is FanDuel TV's More Ways to Win. We're breaking down the biggest games. We're handing out best bets. We're dropping DFS best value plays. This is our 5th season. You guys know what's coming. I'm Lisa Kerney with my guy here in our Los Angeles studio. You know our sports betting expert, Dave Weaver. Weavis, what up?
Having fun. This is what we do. We're going to have a little shenanigans today because Pony's part of the show again.
I know. We're opening up the mics. We're taking the gloves are off. Here we go. And as always, we've got our Sports Talk Radio host, Andrew Filipponi in Pittsburgh, the face of Marquee Sports Network in Chicago, our NFL analyst, Cole Wright. You guys ready to rock?
Always.
I don't know why I'm getting blamed for shenanigans here, Dave.
I don't know. You always.
You're so buttoned up.
No, this button doesn't fit.
You're so
this
well
week,
behaved.
so.
Yeah, okay.
At least I didn't know you were calling Dave Weaves now.
Weavis.
Weavis.
Yeah.
When we're texting,
Weavis.
it's a Weavis.
Darrell Weavis.
I am probably the only one there. All right, you guys, it's Week 5. So much to get to. More Ways to Win starts now. Okay, let's kick this thing off, but we got to start with the only undefeated team left in the NFL, the Philadelphia Eagles. Philly 4-0, flying high on offense, ranking in the top 6 in total yards, passing yards, rushing yards, and points. And on top of that, their defense has given up the 3rd fewest yards and has the most sacks. Eagles in Arizona this week. It could be bad news for these 2-2 Cardinals. They've lost 7 straight at home, dating back to last year. So Dave and Pony, let's bet this game, Dave. Philly, a 5.5-point favorite. Which side do you like?
Well, I like the Cardinals. I mean, okay, so you're 4-0. You're the Eagles right now. You've beaten the Lions, the Vikings, Washington, and Jacksonville. 4-0 doesn't mean anything right now. Remember back in 2012, Pony, when the Cardinals, this same franchise that they're playing, were 4-0. They ended up 5-11. So just because you got off to this hot start doesn't mean that you should be a 5.5-point favorite on the road. I think this line is completely out of whack. I usually try to predict what the line's going to be. I thought it'd be 2. I thought it'd be less than a field goal. 5.5. Give me the Cardinals.
Give me the plus 188 that you see on the bottom of the screen. I'm going to take Arizona to win this game outright. The Eagles have not beaten a playoff team from a year ago yet this season. Say what you will about Jacksonville and maybe what Minnesota will be, but they're still not bona fide winners in this league. And plus, Arizona's got to figure out how to take their second half offense and start the game with it. In the second halves of games, they're averaging 18 points, which means times that by 2, Dave. You didn't go to math major in college, but you can do that math. That's 36 points a game. If they can duplicate that in the first half, find that high-flying offense for 60 minutes. Lisa, moneyline moneymaker, my first of the season on Arizona.
Yeah, that's a little spoiler alert because we do have a full segment of Moneyline Moneymakers coming up here on the show. And Dave, I did want to let everybody know you can make all your bets right now on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. So if you haven't downloaded the app yet and signed up for an account, now is the time to do it because, as Pony just mentioned, we're dropping Moneyline Moneymakers, best bets. We're getting through all of the games, every single one on the matchups, all of the matchups ahead of us here in Week 5. So download the FanDuel Sportsbook app as we move on to get to another great matchup. And this one kicking off here in Los Angeles as the 2-2 Rams host the 3-1 Cowboys. And we have to talk about this Cowboys defense. Dan Quinn doing the thing. They're giving up less than 16 points per game, 3rd fewest in the league, and they're also tied for 2nd in total sacks. The Rams are certainly up against it. The O-line has given up the 2nd most sacks in the league, including 7 in their Monday Night Football loss at San Francisco. Cole, coming to you. The Rams are giving 5.5. Who do you like in this spot?
Well, I'll tell you what, Lisa, defending champs, you know what they say, heavy is the head that wears the crown, because you made mention that they're 2-2 right now, but they're lucky to be sitting at that record because last week, less than 60 yards rushing and 254 yards receiving. Well, that sounds really good if Matt Stafford's out there cashing tickets when it comes to touchdowns, but that currently is not the case. Last week, 0 passing touchdowns. The week before versus Arizona, a goose egg once again, just 4 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. not what Sean McVay dreamed up. In the meantime, Dallas, we know how good they are defensively, a top 10 unit, and they're going to be out there hunting. Trayvon Diggs, maybe he's going to have himself a pick 6. He's still waiting on that one. And Micah Parsons, you can pencil this dude in for 3 sacks. Cowboys, they get the win here, 23-21. It's a close one.
Yeah, you know, the Rams offense is just simply struggling right now. At this point last year, they were averaging 28.8 points a game. They're averaging 17.5 points because Matt Stafford has no time to throw the ball. The absence of Andrew Whitworth, it just, you can see it. Their offensive line is struggling right now. The 2 losses the Rams have, to Buffalo and to San Francisco, they got sacked 7 times. In each of those, Dallas has second most sacks in the league. You just can't imagine that Stafford is going to have much fun out there in this game. This is a high line, 5.5. Remember, this year there's already been 23 games that have been settled by 3 points or less. So anytime you can get more than 3 points in the NFL, it's a good bet, and especially in this spot, I think plus 5.5 is the right side.
I love that. They're 9-1 in their last 10 road games against the spread.
Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention that. And they've covered 5 straight on the road as well.
You know I've got your back. All right, now to the only matchup this week featuring 2 teams with winning records, and that's the 3-1 Giants against the 3-1 Packers. Yes, I said 3-1 Giants. These 2 teams are kicking off in London on Sunday morning. The Giants can credit their hot start, of course, to the play of Saquon Barkley, leading the league in rushing yards with 463 yards. And yes, the Packers have won 3 of 4, but their last 2 wins, they were by a combined 5 points, including escaping with that 3-point overtime win against the Patriots, who are forced to play their 3rd-string quarterback. We're going to talk more about the Pats coming up in just a moment. But Pony and Cole, this game is for you. Packers are giving 7.5. Pony, let's hear your pick here.
I disagree with Dave that you always have to take the points when you're getting more than a field goal. I'm going to take Green Bay because the Giants quarterback situation scares the heck out of me. It is spooky season, Lisa, as you can tell from the skeleton that's appropriately placed above my shoulder. And that's how I would feel about the Giants quarterback going into this game. Less than 100% Daniel Jones. They're going to put him out there at maybe 50% because they have no other option with Tyrod Taylor's concussion protocol situation. You know, Daniel Jones has never beaten a team away from Giant Stadium that finished the year with a winning record. He eats up cupcakes. When he goes on the road or leaves New York, he doesn't beat good teams. And you heard Aaron Rodgers say this week, look, we've got to pound bad teams. What we're doing right now ain't good enough. Hey, Cole, Bill Belichick's not going to be in foggy London town. We're not talking about great defense. The Packers will roll in this game.
Okay, I'll tell you what. When it comes to this matchup right here, Green Bay, I think they're about to turn Danny Dimes and Daniel Tenpennies because we all know that a good run game, what does it do? It travels. And the G-Men, they do have the league's #1 run game. However, Green Bay, they have that double threat. Jones and Dillon, and no disrespect to Saquon, but at last look, he's only one man. The Packs tandem, how about this? 105 carries for 538 yards combined, and that's grinding, no doubt about it. Plus, Aaron Rodgers in all 3 wins, 230-plus yards passing with a pair of touchdowns, and all he does is make wide receivers better. Of the 6 non-running backs targeted last week, it's Randall Cobb, a pair of undrafted dudes, a rookie, a 4th-rounder, and a tight end with 2 catches and 28 yards. It's a next man up always mentality with Green Bay. The Packers, they're going to cruise in England in this one, 28-14. And I would ask James Jones if he knew about Aaron Rodgers elevating just any dude off the street, but apparently James didn't feel like joining us this week.
You're going to have to text him. His shot didn't look so good from all the way across the pond.
We tried to coordinate turtlenecks today, but apparently it wasn't in the cards.
Yeah,
I wouldn't text him. There's international rates on those texts, Cole. You don't want to send those.
Okay,
they're too expensive.
Good.
We'll just send him this segment, us trash talking him while he's not able to join us this week.
Okay.
All right. Well, you guys, great stuff. And while you're making it rain with your bets, don't forget you can also win big just by answering a few questions about the games this week. GMC is teaming up with FanDuel for a free-to-play GMC Sierra Mountain Climber Pick'em contest. And all you have to do is log on to FanDuel.com/free/contest/GMC Mountain Climber before the early games kick off on Sunday. You're going to answer a few questions about the NFL matchups, and with each answer you get right, you move up the mountain. Fans who get every answer right will reach the summit and win a share of a $10,000 prize paid in site credit. If you don't win this week, it's all good. You can enter every week of this NFL season. And as always, have fun and good luck. And we are just getting started here on More Ways to Win. It's early, my friend. Coming up, we're digging in on the dogs. Action Network's Chad Millman is here, delivering 3 dogs that will cover in Week 5. It's a Millman guarantee. Plus, DFS players, listen up. We're stacking your lineup with the best value plays of the weekend. Stick around. So much more coming up here on More Ways to Win. All right, let's keep things going and talk on one of my favorite betting topics. Yes, the underdog. We're bringing back a special guest to drop some knowledge on this show. Coming in hot, the Chief Content Officer of the Action Network and host of sports betting podcast, The Favorites. Give it up for Chad Millman. Chad, love having you back with us again this week. You like betting underdogs. You're going to give us 3 dogs that you like to cover here in Week 5. Who's first on your hot list?
All right, the first game, and I got to tell you, it's already making me sweat thinking about it. Forget about what could happen on Sunday, but I like the Falcons. This line is about plus 9.5 right now against the Bucs. And this is a classic pros Joes game. You're seeing the majority of betting tickets on the Bucs right now. You're seeing the majority of the money on the Falcons. When you see money coming in on one side, that's usually an indication of professional bettors, AKA the wise guys. The wise guys have been on Atlanta all season long. They have bet them every single week, and they have been cashing every single week. This is a tricky spot because you've got an Atlanta team that averages about 5.1 yards per carry. That's top 10 in rushing in the NFL offensively against a Bucs team that, while their defense overall is very good, their rush defense has not been very good. What makes me sweat about it is in betting, it's a little bit like investing. You want to ride the wave and then you want to get out at the highest part of the market. Are the Falcons at the highest part of the market? Are they going to start going into a downturn now? They're 4-0 against the spread. It's a scary spot to be in against Tom Brady, where the offense finally looked good last week against the Chiefs, even in a loss. So the first one, it's a little bit scary. It's going to take some courage. Atlanta plus the points against the Bucs.
But if you've got a bit of a proven track record here through 4 weeks, the smart money being on these Falcons, go ahead and take that chance. Awesome stuff, Chad. Now we get to dig in a bit on your picks. So after each of your picks, I'm going to bring in one of our experts to either fade or tail where you're going here. So, Pony, you heard Chad's pick there. You tailing or fading this first one?
No, I got a tail. Even the smart guys, the wise guys, get it wrong more than 40% of the time. And I think this is one of those cases, and here's why. Tampa Bay, look at the first 4 games of their season, who they played. They had to go to Dallas. They had to go to New Orleans, a matchup that has not been favorable to Tom Brady since he signed with the Saints. And then back-to-back games against the Packers and Chiefs. This is the first game where I feel like they're not in a matchup where they're the other team's Super Bowl, or it's an even matchup in some respect. Atlanta has played over its head. So the point for me is, I think this is the first time all year we see the Bucs offense really click, and I think the Bucs defense gets back to its dominant form after a blip on the radar last week against the Chiefs.
All right, Chad, let's get to your second underdog pick here.
All right, so the second one I'm going with is the Seattle Seahawks against the New Orleans Saints as 5.5 point, up to 6 in some places. When the year began, everyone believed the Seahawks were going to be one of the 3 worst teams in the NFL, and people were starting to talk about the Saints as if they could contend in the NFC South. And I don't think the markets have adjusted to that, and I don't think the Saints have proven in any way that they're worthy of being more than a field goal favorite, really against anybody at this point, while at home. The Seahawks, through the first 4 weeks of the year, are second in the NFL in offensive DVOA, which is really just a fancy way of saying the advanced metrics, like what the Seahawks have been doing offensively. Everyone thinks about Geno Smith, career backup. He's, not writing back or whatever the case is going to be. But the guy's been playing pretty well, and the Saints offensively have really been kind of a mess, right? And you don't know what you're going to get from Alvin Kamara. You don't know who the quarterback is going to be. There's a lot of health concerns on that team. I'm not sure why the Saints continue to be nearly a touchdown favorite if we're talking 5.5 or 6 points. So for me, I'm going to take the Seahawks.
You talk about Geno Smith, a career backup, but also the reigning NFC offensive player of the week. So he's going to be pretty good coming into week 5. Dave, bringing you in to get your thoughts on this pick.
I think Pony used the wrong word. He said he was tailing Chad, but he actually faded him. I'm going to tail you. I'm going to ride your coattails, so to speak. I couldn't agree more that Seattle is just one of those teams that everybody thought was bad, and the line makers are not adjusting to the fact that they aren't that bad. The biggest surprise of the year has been Geno Smith and this offense from the Seahawks. I see no reason why that changes here in this spot. I'm going with you, Chad. I like the Seahawks as well.
All right, Chad, so you've got one fade, one tail. Let's see how Cole feels about your third pick. Who's your dog you like this week for your third one?
All right, the final pick, and this was the first bet I made on Sunday night. On Sunday nights, I like to look at the lines sort of 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and see how they're being posted. And I loved the Cleveland Browns as 3-point home dogs against the Los Angeles Chargers. I talked about investing in the first segment. To use some investing terminology, this is a buy low, sell high spot. People saw the Chargers go on the road as big favorites. They beat the Texans. I thought the Texans had many chances to cover in that game if you sort of look beyond the final score. And in Cleveland, they just came off a loss to the Falcons. But what I'm getting in this spot is a really good team that has the best running back in the NFL. So I'm getting a home team as a dog with a really good running game. They can keep the game shorter because they're going to run the ball. I think it's a fantastic spot to bet the Browns. And I think I would say it now, you got to start thinking about, once Deshaun Watson comes back, if this Browns team continues to show the way it does, you start thinking about investing in Browns futures to win the AFC.
And just double checked on the FanDuel Sportsbook app, it is moved to 2.5. Pony, do you like that pick?
Terminology right. I am tailing Chad, which means I'm agreeing with him. And also, I'm doing, and I think Dave is with me on this too, cutting my losses on the Chargers. We loved LA before the season started on this show, but then we forgot about the Chargers curse, which goes as follows. Every important player gets injured, and they're jinxed. And I don't think that the ratings have adjusted to that situation in LA, where they are already a shell of themselves into week 5. They're on the road. They basically play every game on the road because they have no home field advantage. And I like what Chad said about Cleveland's run game. Much better chance of running the ball with the Bosa injury. Yeah, I like the Browns to win this game outright, actually.
I'm sorry. I'm still going back to Cleveland winning the AFC. Are we talking futures here as we go with maybe that's a future underdog there? Chad, do you want to follow up a little bit on that?
You want to think about these things as the season goes on, right? And the futures market is still available. And so if you start to see spots and you start to play the season out and look at what's going to happen over the course of the year, this is a team that is really good. And their defense is continuing to improve. And when they're at the full complement of their defense with Myles Garrett, with Jadeveon Clowney, they get Deshaun Watson back. That is a team that has a lot of talent on the edges with a running game with Nick Chubb and Kevin Stefanski calling those plays. They're all of a sudden going to become a much more potent team than we are seeing right now, and that they are getting credit for. And so, look, it's a long season. We're talking about January, right? And so it's time to start thinking about where some spots might be available.
All right, we'll keep our eyes. We will be watching for sure. Let's recap Chad's best underdog bets here for week 5. You're going with the Falcons, Seahawks, and the Browns getting the points. Bonus info, take a future maybe on the Browns winning the AFC. All right, we've got an awesome slate of games ahead of us. Let's see what happens on Sunday. Thank you, Chad, for joining us. As always, you can get more of Chad's insight by listening to the Favorites podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And also, make sure to download the Action Network app for expert picks, live scores, and stats. My favorite. Chad, you're awesome. Thanks for joining us, and always good to see ya.
Thank you.
So that's a look at some of the underdogs you should keep an eye on. But conversely, we've got a board full of favorites as well. Time to dish out some respect on this show. Yes, so we're picking our favorites of the week, and we're doing it BETMOJIS style. Okay, picking dogs is really a good way to get some plus money. But you can also increase your odds, get a good payout with a smart parlay of favorites. So, Cole, I want you to build a 3-game parlay with 3 favorites. Your you are super confident are going to cover this week. Now, here's the fun. Dave is ready. You're going to build your parlay. The rest of the guys are going to grade it using grade your pick using an emoji. Cole, so start us off here. Give us your favorites of week 5.
Well, I sneeze at Dave and Pony when they had those BETMOJIS out there because any way you look at it, last week, 2 for 3, that's if we didn't want to package those up as the parlay. But either way, I'm hitting you with 3 winners this week. And we came close last week, but Detroit at New England, that's going to get things started off. Now, the Lions, they do have 3 losses, taking a look at what they've been able to do or not been able to do, but they've all been by 4 points or less. Now, they can score, but don't be fooled by some of these numbers. They've padded some of their stats in some of those blowout losses. Plus, the Patriots, they've got a top 10 defense right now in their rushing attack, and it's all going to depend on the quarterback and health. That's paramount. We know that. And Bill B, if he sticks to the script, New England, they're going to get the win in this one, 24-20. Now, moving things along, the next one up, Tennessee Titans in the nation's capital. Now, they're back on track after a sluggish 0-2 start and 24 points in back-to-back games after averaging just a shade under 14 in the first 2. Now, meanwhile, the Commanders, get a load of this, 3 straight losses, and they've limited the run, but when it comes to allowing them to attack via the air, 819 yards receiving allowed. Not saying Ryan Tannehill's going to go out there and actually carve, but the Titans, they're going to win in this one, 27-13. And last but not least, how about Shady McCoy with all the harsh criticism of our guy, Kyler Murray? Now, I'm on Team Kyler, but I've also been a big-time fan of Jalen Hurts since day one. That said, the Eagles right now rocking that number 2 offense overall. Hurts, a completion percentage of nearly 63% or higher in 3 of the 4 games, and he had an 83.9% passing percentage versus Minnesota. Now, he's a balanced attack kind of guy. 4 passing touchdowns, 4 rushing touchdowns. And the Eagles, you know what it is. They're going to be flying in Arizona, 32-24. I'm sorry that nobody's with me on this one.
All right, Cole. Guys are ready to give you the BETMOJI treatment. But before we get to their reaction, we're going to recap your parlay. Take a look at the odds here. Remember, this is Cole's favorites. So he's taking the Patriots, Titans, Eagles, all giving the points here. Now, take a look at the odds for this parlay. It's plus 584, guys, on this bet. You heard his pick. Dave and Pony, tailing or fading this parlay?
Pony can go first. He's confused.
Fade Central right here. I'm fading big time. I don't trust Tennessee. Now, Washington has lost their last 2 games, but they were the superior NFC East teams. They come home. I'm just not convinced. Ryan Tannehill, Dave, is going to outdo Carson Wentz in that one. So that has me very leery, that pick.
I don't have a problem with Tennessee. Here you go, Cole. Psych.
Oh,
yeah. I had the money up all the way till you got to the Eagles losing to the Cardinals. So I had it for a while.
Oh, you have forsaken the Cardinals. You have turned your back on the Cardinals.
That's his team.
Cole.
I know.
Do kids?
They were a team a year ago until about week 13, 14, and then you know what? Things got a little bumpy on that bandwagon. I had to bail.
And no, kids don't still say psych. They don't know what that is. They don't know what that is.
We need to weigh it. We all have 11-year-olds. We need to ask Pip, Cole, if kids are still saying psych these days. Yeah.
I don't think they do. Not at all. I don't even know what that means.
They don't.
Well, they know what cash is. Underdogs, favorites, doesn't matter what you bet. Get yourself some cash. FanDuel is giving new customers up to $1,000 back if you don't win your first bet. Yes, you right now, new users can take advantage of the no sweat first bet. Just place a cash bet with FanDuel Sportsbook. If you don't win, you're going to automatically get your stake back in free bets. It's that easy. And yes, you now are ready to play with us. You can also get in on the fun with daily fantasy. Of course, you know this. There are a bunch of DFS contests live right now where you can win thousands of dollars on FanDuel.com. Of course, the key to success, value at each position. So we serve that up hot and fresh here on this show. Jim Sonis is a senior writer and analyst for Number Fire. He's got his best value plays for week 5. What's up, Jim?
Thanks, Lee. So yeah, this week very different than the past couple of weeks where a lot of the value comes in at running back. Let's start things off though at tight end with Tyler Higbee coming in at $5,500. Just too low of a salary for how good his role is right now. Higbee has 26% of the Rams' overall targets this year with 25% in the red zone. So although Higbee hasn't scored a lot so far, we could see that change based on the type of volume he is getting. Let's go to those running backs now, starting out with Devin Singletary, $6,000 for the Bills. Bills big favorites against the Falcons. We don't necessarily want that for Singletary because so much of his value comes from the passing game, but Singletary just not leaving the field right now. A 74% or higher snap rate in consecutive games. Singletary $6,000, too low for a guy on that offense who's going to play 2 or 3 quarters of the snaps. My top value for week 5 though is Breece Hall coming in at $6,600. Took over as the Jets lead back this past week in Zach Wilson's debut of 2022. In that game, Hall played 67% of the snaps and had 17 carries and 6 targets. Hall facing the Dolphins this week. He is a bit banged up right now, missed some practice on Wednesday, but should be good to go. And if he is, Breece Hall going to be a big value for week number 5. So running back giving us some salary relief on what should be a fun slate on Sunday.
All right, thanks, Jim. Now you can set your lineup at FanDuel.com. Follow Jim on Twitter at Jim Sanas and check out his Covering the Spread podcast wherever you get your podcasts. All right, we've stacked your roster. We've given out some underdogs. We've given out favorite picks. Next, our experts focus on their favorite Week 5 matchup. We're going to break it all down. Plus, we're talking best bets of the week. Stay with us. You're watching More Ways to Win. Welcome back, everybody. This is FanDuel TV's More Ways to Win, and we're betting football, so let's go. It's Week 5. We're breaking down some more games on this schedule, and we're starting with a huge AFC North Division battle here. The Bengals at the Ravens, Dave. Both teams 2-2, tied for first place in the division. Dave, the Ravens are giving 3. How do you play this one?
You have to remember what Joe Burrow did to this Ravens team last year. Played him twice, won by 20 and won by 24, threw for 941 yards in those 2 games. 525 in one game, 406 in the other. I can't remember a quarterback that had that much dominance on a team in the span of 1 year. They were a 6.5-point underdog last year when they went into Baltimore and rolled them by 24. I think Burrow is starting to groove right now. He hasn't had an interception since week number 1. And the Ravens used to have a home field advantage. It's not there anymore. They're 0-2 on the year. They lost their last 3 games at home last year, so they lost 5 in a row at home. I think the Bengals come in and whip them again.
All right, Pony, let's get to 1-3 Pittsburgh at 3-1 Buffalo. Big news in this one. Rookie Kenny Pickett getting the start for Steelers at quarterback after playing the second half last week. And Pony, you're in Pittsburgh. You're very vocal on social media. You're calling this the start of a new era. You especially like the Steelers in this spot as 14-point underdogs at Buffalo. Explain that.
Well, yeah, because Tomlin's teams have thrived. His against the spread record as an underdog, he is way over 500, and this is the biggest underdog for the Steelers in the last 50 seasons to be a 2-touchdown dog in Buffalo. Pickett threw 3 interceptions against the Jets, but one was on a Hail Mary, and the other 2 balls went off wide receivers' hands. They will be healthy offensively. We know the Bills' problems in the secondary from their injury report that came out earlier in the week. So expect Pittsburgh to keep it close with a new quarterback under center.
I mean, that's a big line, 14 sitting there. All right, Pony, thank you. Cole, an AFC West showdown on Monday Night Football. The 1-3 Raiders at the 3-1 Chiefs. Chiefs giving 7.5 to Vegas.
Yeah, Lisa, when you talk about this Monday night matchup, it is old school, and you can almost hear the autumn wind blowing as we speak, but you can also hear Kansas City starting to hit stride right about now. I know that's going to bring a smile to your face because last week, Edwards-Helaire and Pacheco, 155 yards on the ground, and Patrick Mahomes, he targeted 10 Chiefs in the Tampa Bay beatdown so much that there's some things going on down there in Tampa outside of football. Mahomes, we know that game versus Indy was just a blip on the radar. You take that game out of the equation, 10 touchdowns to just 1 interception in the rough waters. Well, I think they're going to continue for Derek Carr and the Raiders, despite how I had them slated at the beginning of the season. But Kansas City, they're their kryptonite right now, and they win this one 35-27, Lisa.
No doubt. And as a lifelong Chiefs fan, just saying Raiders-Chiefs gave me the chills. These games are awesome. Great stuff, guys. Week 5 about to kick off. We'll see who knows more here. Our experts are coming in high with their picks there. Thank you guys for ripping through those games. Hit up the FanDuel Sportsbook now so you can place your bets. And now we are getting to our best bets here. Our experts are giving them out in the form of a spread, money line, and total bet. It's part of our weekly competition where each of the guys get 100 virtual dollars for those 3 bets. Now, before we get to this week's picks, we have to take a look at last week's winner because accountability time is key on this show. And check it out.
Oh,
Dave,
my favorite part of the show when we recap.
On 2 of his 3. You got Eagles to cover, Bears, Giants under. You made about $53 on your $100 virtual bet.
Russell let me down a little bit on the money line there, but we still profited. Yeah.
Yep, I'd tell you, win is a win. Great stuff by you, Dave. Now, winner goes first, of course. So a reminder, we need more of those winners, okay? Remember, 100 virtual dollars. We got to pick a spread, a money line, and a pick. Yes, of course, but 3 picks. Spread, money line, total, $100. Where are you putting it?
Yep, I'm going to put $60 on my best bet. And I guess I'm a square because I'm going against Chad Millman here with a team that is going to blow out the Falcons. The Bucs are going to dominate in this game. The last 3 times that they have played the Falcons, they have won by 13 or more. They just crushed them. This is what we call a get-right game for Tom Brady and the Bucs. So I'm laying the points. As far as the money line, we talked about this earlier, Pony. You and I both like the Cardinals to beat the Eagles and hand them their first loss, $20 there. And the under, I just think the Rams are struggling right now offensively. Cooper Rush isn't going to score a lot of points for Dallas, so that'll be a low-scoring, close game where I think Dallas keeps it close enough and somewhere in the 30s maybe. So $20 in the under, Rams, Cowboys.
I guess we're just a couple of blockheads here, Dave, because I'm taking the Bucs too. I'm going to put 40 on this game, though. Bucs -9. Every handicapper has turned into a marriage counselor and relationship advice giver in the last few days with everything that's going on with Brady. I can't forecast that. I just look at the 2 teams and think Tampa Bay is much better and they're at home. So I'm going to take them here to cover a big number. My next money line pick, the Jets. It's going to be Teddy Bridgewater for Miami. There's a reason why Bridgewater is on his 3rd team in 3 years. And Zach Wilson in the 4th quarter last week shook off the rust of 6 weeks coming up in knee surgery and delivered the goods. 2 touchdown drives of 70-plus yards against the Steelers. I'm taking the Jets to pull off the upset. And then $20 on the under here in the Vegas-Kansas City game. Everybody just assumes points with Mahomes. I don't see it. This number is way too high. So give me the under in Chiefs-Raiders for $20.
Should I just give Dave the win for this week already?
What?
Pony, I love it. All right, some interesting strategies there. I will leave it at that. We're going to see which one is the best after this weekend. We will air the results on next week's show. So hit up the FanDuel Sportsbook now to place your bets before these Week 5 games kick off. Pony's sitting there fuming, and I love it.
He's not fuming.
All right, coming up, it's Moneyline Moneymaker time. Cole gives his underdog upset special picks. All you have to do is decide to tail him or fade him and then hit up the sportsbook and then make some money. Plus, we're about a quarter of the way through this season. Our guys are picking their best value MVP bets. More ways to win comes back. Stay put. Welcome back to More Ways to Win here on FanDuel TV. We're shouting out some of our betting markets with rapid fire predictions. Giddy up, everybody. Guys, you know the drill. I give you the line and you give me your pick in 15 seconds or less. Cole, you're up first. The 2-2 Bears at 3-1 Vikings. You're in Chicago. Bears are getting 7 here.
All right, my name is mud on the streets when it comes to these Bears, but Minnesota, last year they won the season series and they've won 3 of the last 4. And a friend texted me this just the other day. There's a wide receiver that has more receptions than Justin Fields has completions. That hurts. There's only one Bears wide receiver with over 100 yards. Minnesota, they lean on home field. The Bears not good on the road. Vikings, they sail on this one, but the Bears cover. 2017 final tally.
Okay, Pony, Lions at Patriots. Both teams are 1-3. Patriots quarterback Bailey Zappi could get the start. Of course, Belichick still saying we're day to day. The rookie threw his first career touchdown last week. Pats still giving 3.5 here, Pony. What do you make of this?
I'd be okay with that. Zappe had a higher passer rating than Aaron Rodgers in that overtime game. This was last year college football's leading passer. Huge numbers for the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers. If he has to start, I think he guides the Patriots to a win and a cover.
Okay, Dave, the 3-1 Dolphins at the 2-2 Jets. Teddy Bridgewater will start for Miami. The Jets 3-point dogs.
Yeah, remember before the year started, we were talking future bets on some players, and Tyreek Hill's total was 999 yards. He's already got almost half of that. People are thinking, oh, it had to be Mahomes. It doesn't matter if it's Mahomes, doesn't matter if it's Tua, doesn't matter if it's Teddy Bridgewater. This guy is going to get his yards. I think Miami gets the job done.
Okay, Pony, 2-2 Titans at the 1-3 Commanders. Washington is getting 2.5.
Yeah, I like them to win the game outright. Tennessee has not scored a touchdown in the second half of their last 2 games. They managed to hang on and win. I don't think they're playing with fire. I'm going to take Washington in this one.
Okay, great stuff, guys. From quick picks to upset alerts, we're back on the money line and dropping those money line moneymakers for you right now. We're giving them the BETMOJI treatment because we're all in on this, guys. Cole, you're on the hot seat this time. Need you to give me an underdog that you think will win outright this weekend. Guys are going to either crush you or love you based on the emoji reaction. So let's get to it. Give me your pick.
No. They better get ready to start sending some love my way because you know how I do when it comes to the dogs. I feel great about them. And with the Jets at home, this may be your only chance to ride that green wave all season long. The Dolphins clearly banged up. Tua's out. TBW, Teddy Bridgewater, he will be in, and he'll be wearing 2 gloves, no doubt about it. And there's question marks when it comes to that Dolphins secondary, and you combine that with the hungry Zach Wilson, as Pony said. Wilson coming in, shaking off the rust last week, but he still has more picks than touchdowns. He's going to want to right some of those wrongs. Dolphins, that's the prime candidates to do it against. Jets, I can't believe I'm saying this. They go on and get the win here, 21-17, gang.
All right, guys. I mean, he's got like every emoji sitting here in his hand.
I know Pony likes that pick.
I see you.
Yeah?
I see you, Pony. Come on, Pony.
I just can't go against Cole with the upsets. He was so spectacular last year.
Was.
This made people so much money. Who am I to go against Cole in this spot? This is bread and butter.
I think the Dolphins secondary is fine, and the way that they blitz, these corners come in and we'll get to Wilson and get some sacks.
All right. There you have it. You all can place your bets right now on the FanDuel Sportsbook app, and you can stay right where you are because we're coming right back because the MVP odds have moved. There's some great value on the board right now. Who that is next. Plus, we're ripping through and betting the rest of the Week 5 games on this schedule. We're back after a quick break. We guarantee breakdown and expert analysis for every game, every week, and this is when we make good on that promise. So let's ride. We're hitting the rest of the Week 5 games right now. Dave, 1-3 Atlanta at 2-2 Tampa Bay. Bucks have lost 2 in a row. They're 9-point favorites in this one. How are you going to play it?
Tom Brady has never lost to Atlanta. 10-0, as a matter of fact, including that infamous Super Bowl comeback when he was down 28-3. That was with the Patriots. But now with the Bucks, he's just been crushed them lately, winning the last 3 games by at least 13 points. I don't see why that changes here. This is a get-right game for Tampa and Tom. They'll blow them out.
All right, let's get to the Chargers taking on the Browns in Cleveland. Both teams 2-2. Cole, the Chargers are 2.5-point road favorites.
I don't know what's going on with me today. I already picked the Jets a little bit earlier, and now I'm rolling with the West Coast Dolphins. Yeah, that's what I've called the Chargers for the last 3 seasons around these parts. The Chargers, they've allowed 24 or more in 3 of 4 games, but the Browns, they haven't been a whole bunch better, 23 in 3 or 4 as well. This is pretty much going to be a glorified pillow fight. I'm going to have to go with the team that has the better offense, even though we know Mr. Chubb's going to be running that rock. 28-17, Bolts are going to prevail.
Okay, let's get to the 2-2 Niners coming off that big win against the Rams on Monday Night Football. Panthers are 3-1, Pony. San Francisco's giving 6.5 here.
Yeah, on the road. I think this is a big letdown game, and it's not one of these classic West Coast come East Coast thing, which you hear handicappers talk about sometimes. The Niners beat the Rams. That's been a big measuring stick game for them. They got payback in the NFC Championship. Now they go to a team that's so hungry. I think Matt Rule's job is pretty much on the line. I think Baker Mayfield is playing for a starting job. Their defense has been solid. Carolina at least keeps this game to a field goal or less. I'm going to take the Panthers.
Okay. Houston is in Jacksonville. The Texans looking for their first win of the season. Jags 2-2 coming off that loss at Philly. Cole, Jacksonville's a 7-point favorite.
Well, at least I'll tell you what, I don't know if you saw that video back in the day, but the Jags at the house, they're going to go in there and try to steal the show. We know that 3 of their first 4 games, they've been away from the house. And you know what? They're going to do it for Blake Bortles. He went out there and retired very sneakily. And the Jags D, well, they can take advantage of Davis Mills because he has a propensity to throw an interception here or there. Jacksonville, they win 31-16. What do you think?
And you're right. Nice nod to Bortles there. Let's wrap this up with the 2-2 Seahawks here at the 1-3 Saints. New Orleans a 5.5-point favorite. Dave, this one is you.
Yeah, you know, the Saints have just looked off kilter so far early in the season. The biggest surprise has been Geno Smith and that high-flying Seahawks offense, but for some reason, the lines makers have not adjusted and still think Seattle's a terrible team, and they're not. So I think 5.5 points is too many. I'm going with the underdogs.
All right, coming up, our guys give out their best value MVP picks. We're wrapping up the show after this. We are back and we are dropping fantasy dimes because FanDuel offers a bunch of DFS contests where you can win thousands of dollars by starting the right players. And it gets better because we've got a guy who gives you the ringers well worth their high price tag. Jim Sonis is back with the goods. Jim, who is on your can't miss list in week 5?
Thanks, Lisa. Yeah, but top of the pool a bit odd for this week with no Travis Kelce and no Mark Andrews, meaning we have to spend our salary somewhere else other than tight end. I think we got some good guys to do so for this week, though. That begins with Dalvin Cook at $7,300. That's not really a stud-type salary, but we know the workload Dalvin Cook can get. He hasn't gotten that at all times so far this year, in part because he's been banged up. But now Cook, extra week to rest up, facing off with the Bears, a team that teams love to run on right now. So Dalvin Cook, I'm expecting some big regression for him in this situation. At wide receiver, I love A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown, one of the best games of this week. The Eagles at the Cardinals, and Brown still getting a massive workload here for the Eagles. He has 33% of their overall targets this year, with 40% of the deep work and 33% in the red zone. Just one receiving touchdown so far for A.J. Brown. We could see that tick up, and it could happen this week against Arizona. My top stud for week number 5, though, is Tyreek Hill. Backup quarterback in Teddy Bridgewater, but Teddy, probably the best backup quarterback in all of football right now. Tyreek has 12 plus targets in all but one game so far this year. He's averaging 2 deep targets per game, facing off with the Jets. And the Jets, the secondary improved from what it was, but I think this game should be pretty fun. The Jets may score some points too with Breece Hall, and Tyreek Hill, if he can get decent volume from Teddy Bridgewater, could go bananas, and the team he almost joined in this offseason. So Tyreek Hill, once again, a fun option for this week. And overall, some solid studs this week, despite not having those 2 big tight ends, Travis Kelce and Mark Andrews.
My man, set your lineups now at FanDuel.com. Follow Jim on Twitter at Jim Sonis. And another reminder to check out his daily Covering the Spread podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks, Jim. All right, time now to talk some futures, and we're focusing on the MVP race. We're about a quarter of the way through the season here. The favorite's still Josh Allen. There are some guys creeping up this list, like Jalen Hurts. Guys, I want to get you guys in here to get your best value picks. And Dave, you're going to start us off in this category.
I think Pony jumped to a conclusion earlier when he thought I had given up on Justin Herbert and the Chargers. I think this guy, we've seen his grit. He's playing through these injuries. He hasn't had Keenan Allen, and he's still putting up very good numbers. I think the odds are still in his favor here at plus 1,200.
Dave, you need to start listening to your great points. You're so eloquent on the show. You laid out what Burrow has done against the Ravens. So if he does it again, you see where he is right now, 25-1. You see where Lamar Jackson is. That might flip if the Bengals win this game. So buy low on Burrow right now at 25-1. Take your own advice,
I don't
Dave.
mind that pick at all.
Well, Dave, Pony, usually I take your guys' advice, and usually I follow your advice. But on this one, even if you're with me on this, it's not really of my concern. I'm going to go at a plus 3,800. I have to roll with Derek Carr because even though sometimes you guys don't always have the best advice, what do I say in the streets? Dave and Pony, they're geniuses, just like Derek Carr. I picked him at the beginning of the season, and if Aaron Rodgers can win an MVP at 37 and Tom Brady can do it at 40, Derek Carr at 31, it's going to be an unbelievable comeback when silver and black, when they're getting it done at the end of the campaign. Go Derek Carr.
You need like 14 500 games in a row to have a shot at that.
Am I the only one that watched week 4? Am I the only one that saw Patrick Mahomes just pull magic
here we go.
out
Here comes
again?
the Chiefs homer. Here it comes.
Yeah, I'm a homer, but
Chiefs
also
Kingdom.
I like the proving.
I'm a homer. A Mahomer.
I am a Mahomer. Patrick is Mahomes. All right, you guys, let's get from MVP to Super Bowl. Buffalo, Kansas City, Philly are the favorites in this market. Dave, do you like one of those teams, or are you looking for value somewhere else?
I mean, of those three, I think Buffalo is the standout, but I'm sticking with the Chargers. Pony says they have no home field advantage. You might be right about that, but they got the players to do it offensively and defensively.
The team I like isn't even on the board. I think Jacksonville at 48-1. I don't discount them because of the sloppy conditions in Philly. Lawrence fumbled the ball like 5 times in that game. They've come way down. Lisa, they were 110-1 before the season started. I still like him at 48-1.
Yeah, our odds makers are smart.
Lisa, you asked if anyone watched Week 4.
Don't do the Raiders.
I watched Week 4, and we're going to go with a Week 4 rematch and a rematch of Super Bowl 55. How about Kansas City and Tampa Bay doing it all over again? You know Patrick Mahomes wants a little retribution from losing to Tom Terrific in that first Super Bowl matchup against each other, a 31-9 loss. I'm really sorry about this. Normally I was going with the Raiders, but they did this to themselves. I'm going to have to go with Kansas City out of the AFC and Tampa. Come on.
All right, so here are our producers in my ear saying, you know what? You have to pick, and you can't pick Kansas City. I might go Eagles. They're so balanced, and they're looking so good. Jalen Hurts, young. I don't know. I might have to go Eagles. But they're going to play the Chiefs. We can do that, right?
Oh, of course.
Okay.
The Andy Reid Bowl.
Right, exactly. All right, we've highlighted hundreds of wagers that you can make on the FanDuel Sportsbook app right now. Don't forget all the fun waiting for you also on the FanDuel Casino app. And breaking news, by the way, the app just launched an exclusive FanDuel-branded live dealer casino, and it's available to play in Michigan and Pennsylvania. That means you don't need to leave home to be in the casino. You can play all your favorite table games like blackjack and roulette. You'll play with a real live dealer who deals real live cards against real competition for real money. So download the FanDuel Casino app and check out the live dealer casino right now. And that is how it's done. Dave, I know you love the casino games.
I'm a roulette guy.
You're a roulette guy. All right.
Black 22.
There we go. What a show. Thanks for hanging with us. We hit every game to get you ready for Week 5. Check out all the bets that we talked about and more on the FanDuel Sportsbook app right now. And it gets better because we'll be here every week, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, 7 Pacific, because FanDuel TV brings you the best football content in the business. We're out, but keep it right here. Up and Adams with Kay and special guests coming in hot next here on FanDuel TV. See you next week, everybody.